So, have you ever done everything you're supposed to do with money? You make the budget, you try to save, you invest, but it still feels like you're just spinning your wheels? Well, if you've ever felt totally frustrated or stuck with your finances, I'm here to tell you it is probably not your fault. Today, we're going to talk about the one thing that's almost always missing from the conversation: your money temperament. Okay, let's just start with this. It's a pretty bold statement, right? Most financial advice out there, it completely ignores about 95% of who you actually are. It only focuses on that little tip of the iceberg you see above the water. That's what you know. But it misses the huge, massive part below the surface. That's who you are. And that's what's really steering the ship. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. That 5% that everyone sees, that's your learned behavior. It's what you think you should do based on some book you read or a class you took. But that hidden 95%? Ooh, that's your natural, gut-level, hardwired behavior. And which one do you think takes over when you're feeling stressed? Like, say, when the stock market takes a nosedive. Yeah, it's not the part of you that read a book on patient investing. Here is a fantastic way to think about it. The way we teach finance today is like we're teaching everybody to be an automotive engineer. We're getting deep into the complex mechanics of the market. But what actually matters for getting you where you want to go safely, it's how you drive the car, your behavior behind the wheel. We've been so focused on the engine when we should have been focusing on the driver all along. So what's the result of this whole messed up approach? Well, you get this one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter advice that, let's be honest, just doesn't work for most of us. And it creates this awful cycle of trying, failing, and then feeling like you're just bad with money, when the real problem is the advice was never ever designed for you in the first place. All right, so that brings us to the big idea for today. What in the world is this powerful, hidden force that we're calling money temperament? Let's get into it. The easiest way to think about it is like your financial DNA. It's your own unique money personality. And this isn't something you can just decide to change tomorrow with a new budgeting app. It's stable, it's mostly unconscious, and it's the real why behind every single financial move you make. So, are you ready to get a little peek at your own financial DNA? We're going to do a super quick self-assessment. Now listen, there are no right or wrong answers here, okay? The only goal is to get to know yourself a little better. So just make a mental note of your answers. All right, first question. Think about when you're buying something. What's your typical process? Are you super quick and just go for it, or do you need to take your time and weigh all the options? So which of these four styles feels most like you? Are you fast-paced, making decisions in a snap, or do you move carefully, really taking your time to think things through? Maybe you're results-oriented, where every dollar you spend has a specific purpose. Or are you relationship-oriented, always thinking about how your financial choices will impact the people you care about? Just pick the one that feels right. Okay, next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is no way, not at all, and 10 is bring it on, how comfortable are you with financial risk? This is all about your gut feeling, your emotional tolerance for things going sideways. So if you scored yourself a 7 or higher, you're probably a natural risk taker. You can roll with the punches and make decisions even when things are uncertain. Now, if you scored a 3 or below, you're likely more on the cautious side. You're great at spotting the potential problems. You always want a backup plan, and you find a lot of comfort in safety. All right, third question for you. Using that same 1 to 10 scale, how likely are you to work with someone like a financial advisor versus just figuring it all out on your own? A high score here, a 7 or above, probably means you really value relationships and you're cool with delegating. You see the power in teamwork. A low score, say a 3 or below, means you probably prefer to be in control. You're independent, you're driven by results, and at the end of the day, you want to be the one calling the shots. Okay, last question for our little assessment, and this one really gets to the heart of our day-to-day habits. On that 1 to 10 scale, where do you fall on the spectrum between being a natural-born saver and a natural-born spender? So if you scored high, you are probably a saver. You might actually enjoy a good budget. You like things to be precise, and having it all organized gives you peace of mind. But if you scored low, you're more of a spender at heart. You value your freedom and flexibility way more than a strict plan, and you tend to go with your gut. To you, a budget might feel less like a tool and more like a cage, right? So now that you have a bit of a snapshot of your own temperament, let's see how this plays out in the real world. I want to tell you a story that shows why understanding this stuff isn't just a fun little exercise. It is absolutely crucial for having any kind of peace with your money. So picture this, a newly minted financial advisor, and his very first clients are his own parents. Now, his parents were from the generation that lived through the Great Depression. They were incredibly frugal, and get this, they were secretly millionaires, but they kept almost all of their money stuffed in cash and CDs because they were absolutely terrified of the stock market. And this is where you could see the massive clash in their temperaments. His parents were cautious, emotional about money, and they tracked every single penny themselves. The son, the advisor, was a fast-moving, logical risk-taker. You can imagine, every single conversation about money was just filled with tension. They were speaking completely different financial languages because their natural behaviors were polar opposites. And here's the big breakthrough. The advisor finally realized he was never going to change his parents. He couldn't just logic them into becoming risk takers. So the solution wasn't to change them, it was to change their environment. He found them a personal banker who was wired just like them. Cautious, careful, somebody who actually understood their fears. And you know what happened? Just like that, all the conflict just disappeared. That story is such a perfect example of the power of working with your temperament instead of constantly fighting against it. So how can you actually do that? Let's talk about a few simple, concrete steps you can take to unleash your own natural style. Here are 3 things you can do, like today. First, based on what you just learned about yourself, literally take a pen and paper and handwrite a short paragraph describing your money temperament. There's something about handwriting that helps your brain lock it in. Second, read that statement out loud every day for a week, just to really let it sink in. And third, think about sharing it with your partner, your family, or a financial professional. It can be a game changer for helping them understand your why. And please remember this. There is no such thing as a perfect money temperament. A risk taker is not better than a saver. A delegator is not better than a do-it-yourselfer. They are just different. This is not about judging yourself. The whole point is to stop fighting against your own nature and to start building a financial life that fits you like a glove. So I'll leave you with this one final thought to really chew on. Take an honest look at your financial life, your budget, your investments, your goals, the whole shebang. Is it all truly built for the person you actually are, or is it built for the person that books and podcasts and society have told you that you should be? Answering that question honestly, well, that could be the key that finally unlocks real financial peace for you.